You're pretty strong for some clown who thinks he's Batman.
I am Batman.
The year is 1999. The Game Boy Color is released, Bill Clinton is acquitted, and Star Wars Episode 1 premieres. But most importantly, The New Adventures of Batman ends January 16th, 1999. A continuation of the 90s Batman the Animated Series, also serving as its third and final season overall, and the third series in the DC Animated Universe. 10 days beforehand, a new show airs on Kids WB.
You're Batman.
I was Batman. In the dawn of the new millennium, a young boy will discover a dark secret.
I could use an ally.
Show me everything.
And give birth to a new legend. You're pretty strong for some clown who thinks he's Batman.
I am Batman.
Batman Beyond, next weekend on Kids WB.
Batman Beyond, known as Batman of the Future outside of the United States, chronologically the final series for the DC Animated Universe, lasting from January 10th, 1999 to December 18th, 2001. Drawing on elements of generational differences, fear of the unknown, as well as cyberpunk and sci-fi themes such as the issues of innovation and technology and scientific progression that all affect society. Developed by Bruce Timm, Paul Dini, Alan Burnett, and Glenn Murakami. Originally a project that the producers tried to avoid like a 10-foot pole, the idea of a teenage Batman was frightening. Born off the back of the teenage craze of the WB, executives were jonesing to make Batman a little more like Spider-Man.
I guess we'll do some development on this and get back to you like in a week or so. He says, no, you guys have a green light. Go make the show. So we walked out of there just like shell-shocked. And we met out in the parking lot and kind of went, what do we do? This is really bizarre. It's like, we love the show that we're doing. We love the classic Batman. I'm not sure we want to do like this teenage Batman show. And Paul and I called each other like over the weekend, like 3 or 4 times, just like, so what do you think? Is this crazy or what? It's like, I'm not really sure I want to do it.
I think I'm going to quit.
Yeah, we said that like several times,
Yeah.
And then Monday morning I went into the office and I met with Glenn and I told Glenn the whole thing.
He went, come here, come to my office. And then we went into your office and he said, close the door. He told me all the ideas and then he pitched me the Batman Beyond idea and he's like, what do you think of it? And I was like, let's do it. That sounds cool. When do we start?
Taking a fresh new take and reinventing the lore from the ground up, freeing themselves of restrictions that were tied to comic book lore while playing within the world of BTAS. The show starts off in the futuristic year of 2019, 20 years following the year of Batman the Animated Series and the new Batman Adventures. Bruce Wayne is now past his prime and now is on his final mission, taking down a kidnapping armed with a new high-tech suit. He attempts to save the daughter of one of his old socialite friends. But during that said mission, he suffers a mild heart attack and is at risk of being beaten to death by one of the kidnappers. He is forced to betray a lifelong principle by threatening to use a gun, the weapon of a coward. The same kind of weapon that murdered his parents and drove him into becoming Batman in the first place. After the ordeal, Bruce is ashamed and fearing that he could continue down the path of a murderer. He hangs up the cape and cowl for good. We then flash forward 20 years into the future. The year is 2039. Neo Gotham, a futuristic version of Gotham City built on the remains of the old Gotham City. Bruce is now in his 70s, and Wayne Manor has basically become a mausoleum. Only Bruce pet ace that roam the halls. That's really sad, man. This guy gave so much of his life to the city. Now he's relegated to the old, decrepit, bitter man. Most of Bruce's allies, like the likes of Alfred, Gordon, Lucius, have all either retired or died of natural causes. His crime-fighting partners, like Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, Tim Drake, and Selena Kyle, are all basically still alive and are now estranged from him, following their retirements from their alter egos and possible falling outs. As for his rogues gallery, well, they're all either in prison, exiled, or dead. As for the Justice League, Bruce has cut all ties and resigned from the Justice League. Along comes Terry McGinnis, 16-year-old high school student, reformed troublemaker with a deep sense of personal justice. His father Warren and his mother Mary are recently divorced, and his dad Warren is a research scientist at Wayne Powers. What is Wayne Powers? Well, Bruce's company was eventually forced to merge with the series villain Derek Powers, who is eventually the Norman Osborn to Terry's Batman. So kind of less Joker Batman, more Green Goblin Spider-Man. But we'll get to that in a second. After a run-in with the Jokers, a street gang modeled after the Clown Prince of Crime, he gets saved by Old Man Bruce, but due to his condition, he needs Terry's help to get back into his house. Terry eventually finds a bat inside of a grandfather clock and discovers the Batcave. Bruce berates Terry and he leaves to return home, where he finds out the Jokers took revenge by killing his dad.
Oh my god.
Terry! You're okay.
Mom, what happened?
A robbery. The police say it's the Jokers. They surprised your father.
Where is he? Where's Dad?
Honey,
Dad?
Soon after that, though, he discovers that his father had stumbled upon sensitive information about the production of illegal chemicals by Derek Powers through Wayne Powers, and that the man that actually was responsible for his father's murder was Powers' personal bodyguard, Mr. Fix. Terry goes to Bruce and tries to convince him to do something. Bruce tells him to go to Barbara Gordon, who's the current commissioner. For those who don't know, Barbara Gordon was Batgirl at one point. Now she's taken upon her father's role as the police commissioner. And her and Bruce have a very rocky relationship. Terry subsequently steals the Batsuit, intending to bring Powers to justice. Bruce initially opposes all of Terry's efforts and demands that he returns the suit, but Terry convinces him to let him be Batman and defeats Mr. Fix. During the battle, however, Powers is exposed to the lethal chemical and is forced to go into hiding to receive treatment, which eventually mutates him into a radioactive skeleton, aka Blight. Upon returning home, Bruce offers Terry the role of Batman under the guise of being his personal assistant, his gopher, if you will. Go for this, go for that.
I find that in my old age, I could use a part-time assistant. You know, a gopher. Go for this, go for... Very good then, Mr. McGinnis. Welcome to my world.
And thus begins the legendary relationship of Batman Beyond. there's something really cool about this dynamic, which I notice really was the blueprint for a lot of series following forward. Because the idea of a mentor and sidekick relationship is nothing new. Heck, Batman and Robin were the first dynamic duo. But that being said, you've never really seen a former hero outside, let's say, maybe Flash, and even then, Jay and Barry were never really super mentor-mentee like that. Maybe Kid Flash and Flash, but even then, Kid Flash was his own separate thing. This is old, retired, former superhero giving the mantle to a new generation and being actively there to mentor him. We see that in the likes of things like Zorro in the Zorro movies, or My Hero Academia, and several other franchises that do the mantle passing. We can thank Batman Beyond for giving us kind of the blueprint for that, which is really cool. I think some of the most interesting parts about Batman Beyond, aside from the cyberpunk Blade Runner aesthetic, is seeing how far and how crazy Gotham has become. I mean, you have Bruce, who was once Gotham's champion, now reduced to this old, sad man who's left alone with only a dog by his side and all of his memorabilia. Then you have Terry, who honestly is my favorite and probably the only other person I truly accept as Batman. Like, as a kid growing up, that was just like, okay, it's Bruce, then none of the Robins, because comic-wise, they've all proven why they shouldn't become Batman and why they won't become Batman. Damian becomes a grimdark Batman. Dick never wanted to be Batman. Jason, like Damian, grimdark Batman, and Battle of the Cow proved why he shouldn't be Batman, although he'd be an effective Batman, just not a good one. And then we've got Tim, who wanted to become Batman sometimes and doesn't want to become Batman sometimes. And honestly, Tim as Batman is just, it's happened several times, but it's like Diet Coke. You don't want to drink it. There is Cassandra, but that's a whole different conversation. But ultimately, I feel like Terry is the proper successor. That being said, let's talk about his rogues gallery. So we've already talked about Blight, aka Derek Powers, but we also have things like Ink, who is kind of like Clayface and Poison Ivy mixed together. Well, she's seductive in the Poison Ivy way, but like a shapeshifter in the Clayface kind of way. We have a hypnotist known as Spellbinder. I guess Scarecrow, and a little bit of Mysterio. We have Shriek, who's essentially Shocker. Maybe a little bit of music, mostly Shocker. He controls sounds, weaponized sounds. Then we have some old favorites like the Royal Flush Gang, who Terry has a special connection with because he eventually gets together with one of the members, and that's kind of like his Catwoman. And then we have some old classic favorites coming back, like Mr. Freeze, who gets a redemption arc. We have Bane, who, man, kind of rough what happens to Bane. And then Ra's al Ghul, who, yikes, is a terrible father. You see, in that episode, it's Bruce's birthday and he regrets the fact that he's gotten old. And eventually he reminisces about the past and all the women he's dated, and Talia happens to come back and offers him a once-in-a-lifetime chance, an opportunity to get eternal youth. Bruce rejects the idea because he's Bruce and he thinks it's unnatural. But then eventually, after almost getting hit by a car, he takes up her opportunity. And then we get the cool moment where Bruce becomes young and he teams up with Terry, and they have the whole cool dynamic duo back to back. But eventually we find out that Ra's al Ghul is inside Talia al Ghul's body, and yeah, he kissed Bruce. But they eventually beat Ra's, and yeah, Bruce goes back to being an old man. And we see why Terry is worthy of being Batman. And it's an interesting look to see how they would have operated as, you know, Batman and Batman. Alongside Terry, we have characters like Dana Tan, who's basically his Mary Jane. She's also voiced by Amy from Futurama. You can't unhear it.
Sorry,
Oh, it wasn't that. Look.
And Max Gibbons, his plucky sidekick, beautiful black girl who happens to be just as smart, maybe even smarter than Terry. She pretty much pulls a Tim Drake and figures out that he is Batman after a series of events, and figures out Bruce Wayne is the original Batman. And they form a little trinity, and it's really cute. Also, what I really like about their relationship is that they're platonic, although he has better chemistry with Maxine than he does with Dana, in my personal opinion. But I'm glad they never took it that far, because men and women can be friends. Finally, let's talk about the magnum opus, Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker.
Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. The legend lives in the future. Dark secrets revealed.
So the plot pretty much follows as so. A new faction of Jokers, consisting of Bonk, Wolf, Ghoul, Cucko, and DD twins, attempt to steal high-tech electronic equipment and are intercepted by Batman, the protege of Bruce Wayne. Come to find out, the Jokers, I can't make this up, are working for the Joker. Also, Joker kills Bonk? I like Bonk. And Ghoul. Yeah, Ghoul is voiced by Michael Rosenbaum, aka The Flash from Justice League Unlimited and Justice League. And he's Lex Luthor on Smallville. And he's doing a Kristopher Walken impression. But once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Bless his heart.
Checking. What we're after is cutting edge. These are the only other places we'd find one.
Later on, Joker attacks a press conference commemorating Bruce's return to Wayne Enterprises, and Joker reveals himself to Bruce, which, oh my god, is terrifying, because the last time Batman saw Joker, it was a Greek tragedy. And, you know, Joker, being the showman that he is, mocks Bruce, and he also mocks Terry, sizing him and flaming him, going as far as to criticize the outfit and, I guess, his drip is just not to Joker's liking. Eventually, Terry goes on to ask Bruce and Barbara for information about the Joker, but neither wants to budge. Bruce orders Terry to go home and return the Batsuit so he can investigate and confront the Joker on his own. Terry reluctantly gives in, but after a Joker's attack, nearly killing Dana, and Joker almost poisoning Bruce to death, and Ace too, and reveals that he knows Bruce was Batman and Terry was his successor, thus putting them both in the middle of the shits. So after saving Bruce's life, he gets some answers from Babs, and she explains what the deal was with the Joker. You see, one night, Tim Drake, the former second Robin, went out on patrol by himself. There, he thought he was stopping a mugging, but it turns out to be Harley Quinn and Joker in disguise. They kidnap him and take him to Arkham Asylum, unbeknownst to Batgirl and Batman, who scoured the city for weeks looking for him. But eventually, when they found him, he was Jokerized. Yes, Joker has done a lot of things, and granted, Joker shot Barbara Gordon in the comics, tore off his own face around the New 52, and beat Jason with a crowbar, and, subsequently blew him up with a bomb. But, no, this is dark. This is dark. They said, "Hey, we can't kill Jason Todd. We're not gonna do Death in the Family, and we're not gonna do, Killing Joke. But yeah, we're gonna do something just as dark." And we see how twisted and deformed little Tim Drake has become. And Joker pretty much forces Tim to reveal Bruce's identity. And in a shocking turn of events, Joker dunks on Bruce by giving a shocking speech, roasting the shit out of him, which causes Bruce to just go berserk. And in the heat of the moment, we have Joker Jr., aka Tim Drake, forced to put a gun at Batman, but eventually comes to his senses and kills the Joker point blank. There's also a censored version of this, which is worse, because in one version, Joker just gets shot in the chest. In the other version, Joker gets electrocuted. I don't know which one's worse. To me, this is one of the reasons why it's cemented why Batman Beyond was just darker than BTAS. Yes, BTAS may visually be more darker than its vibrant counterpart, but the themes and lengths that Batman Beyond was just willing to go is just Jesus. So we also find out something very interesting about how Joker beats death and eventually comes back to life in this movie. Turns out Joker implanted a microchip with all of his Joker essence, everything that makes Joker Joker, into Tim Drake. Granted, in the movie, there's a red herring that they try to tell you that it might be Joker. I mean, he's voiced by Mark Hamill. He looks like Joker, and he even works with the Joker gang, but we find out, no, he's not really the Joker. It's actually Tim Drake. Granted, Tim has no idea what's going on. It's more of a Jekyll and Hyde situation going on. not aware of the whole conscious thing. But there are subtle clues that make you think, is it Batman? Is it really Tim Drake, or is it Joker? Because one of the clues that Terry realizes to put two and two together was that the Robin costume was the only costume torn up in the display when Joker attacked Bruce in the Batcave. So eventually we get the old Batman Joker showdown in a abandoned candy toy factory. And what I really like about Terry is his can-do, talking shit attitude. And he really is like Spider-Man, or I think he's more of a combination of Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. So he has aspects of the first two Robins. And he's such a likable character. Mind you, he's different enough to where he's just not a carbon copy of any of the previous sidekicks and students that came before him. And he's not a sidekick, it's a mentor-mentee relationship. And you can see that because in their fight, not only does he clap back at Joker, because he makes sure to clap back at Joker, he fights dirty. He does things that Bruce would never do, could never dream of doing. And that throws Joker off his game.
I was like, it's about to go down.
Let's dance, Bozo. What are you doing? Fighting dirty. The real Batman would never... Told you didn't know.
So much pain! So much pain!
Guy. Can't say the same for you.
Let's go!
You're talking to? Not a comedian, I'll tell you that.
Damn!
Clowny. He's got no sense of humor. He wouldn't know a good joke if it bit him in the cape.
Hey, bro, come on now, dog. Come on, man.
Oh, yourself. You make me laugh. But only because I think you're kind of pathetic.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Got your skin bleached, then decided to become a supervillain. What? You couldn't get work as a rodeo clown?
Hey, boy, ain't no fucking way, boy. Boy, ain't no 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 way, boy.
Don't you dare laugh at me. Why? I thought the Joker always wanted to make Batman laugh. Come on, McGinnis. Laugh it up now, you miserable little punk. Laugh! I can't hear you.
Hey,
You get your fucking hands off me.
Ha, ha.
And, well, that causes Joker to have a mental breakdown and almost kill Terry, but luckily to his ingenuity, he destroys the microchip, thus killing the Joker, and saves Tim Drake. And Barbara, Tim, and Bruce all have this nice but fitting end to their chapter where they all reconcile their differences. And yeah, that's Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker. This final thing we're going to talk about is massive spoiler. Granted, the show is super old. If you plan on watching Justice League Unlimited or Batman Beyond in general, go watch it because it's really important. Yeah, Watchtower database, don't kill me. We're going to talk about Epilogue. Again, I'll try not to spoil Epilogue. Well, I'm going to spoil it. So if you don't want to know about Epilogue, this is your time to click off. But if you don't care, here we go. This is the most divisive episode or part of the canon for Batman Beyond fans. Some people love it, some people hate it. Me personally, growing up, I thought it was pretty cool. Granted, in hindsight, I can see why certain people don't like it, and let me explain. So, we learn that Batman, aka Terry, is actually the son / clone. He's not really a clone, although he thinks he is. He's not a clone. He's the son of Bruce Wayne. Granted, Bruce and Mary never slept together. No, you see, what happened was Amanda wanted, understood the importance of Batman after Justice League Unlimited. They grew to respect each other. So, in her efforts, and, you know, considering she's Amanda Waller, she's going to do shiesty stuff, she decided to clone Batman. But since cloning is illegal, she decided to gather all of Bruce's DNA that she found over town. Not remotely what I meant. No, you know, he's Batman, so he's bound to leave like blood and sweat and things all around the city. So he gathered it up, formulated a cocktail, and found 2 identical psychological matches to Thomas and Martha Wayne, that being Mary and Warren McGinnis, injected Warren with Bruce's DNA, thus making any child that Warren McGinnis would have Bruce's. Also, I forgot to mention, Terry has a little brother named Matthew, who in the comics becomes Robin. That is neither here or there. Yeah, so essentially, Warren's kids are actually Bruce's kids. And that causes a rift between Bruce and Terry can't trust himself, and he walks away from many of his relationships, including his engagement with his high school sweetheart, Dana, and he also quits the Justice League. Yeah, I forgot to mention, Terry joined the Justice League back in Batman Beyond. It's pretty cool. But after a wise and down-to-earth conversation with Amanda Waller, she opens his eyes and makes him realize that he's not the clone. His son. Actually, what's funny is this predates Damian Wayne. So essentially, Terry is Bruce's first son, not counting Batman Jr. Although Son of the Demon was a thing in comic books years before this, but who cares about Son of the Demon? But Grant Morrison eventually came and rectified that situation. Overall, Batman Beyond is a fantastic show, to the point where they have put him in multiple media. I mean, he's skins for almost every modern Batman game. He's in the comics. He's been in the comics multiple times in almost every possible future. They've had multiple different versions of his character show up in possible futures. He's in the White Knight series. I mean, Terry McGinnis will forever be known as Batman's greatest successor. And eventually, if DC ever decides to pass the torch, Terry's the guy. They have the guy. And most people are okay with that. I know I am. And on the topic of Bruce and Terry being father and son, I don't mind it. Personally, granted, I like the idea of Batman being a mantle and not something you have to be biologically born into, but I'll make the exception with Bruce and Terry. Because I like Terry way more than I like Damien. But if you agree, disagree with anything I said, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know the next time we upload. And thanks for watching.